Welcome, welcome. We are very excited to be here tonight. We've moved things around a little bit just because I am too excited to bring you this information. You know, and every once in a while, these fitting solutions, I think if they're just in an organized place, it's easier for you to digest them. Not anything different than what I've said in the past. We're just going to maybe say it in a different way. And I have spiffy help that has helped me. For many of you, you know that we have completed our spiffy training. That silhouette pattern, individual fit for yourself is what that stands for. And whether you're fitting yourself or whether you're fitting many, you have to have the same amount of information. And many just want to fit themselves. Most. Some, they get so excited, they want to do it for somebody else, like me. And either way you choose, it's okay. But like I said, you have to know the same amount of information. It's not like you have to know more if you're going to fit others, unless if you're just going to do it for yourself. It's the same amount of information. Okay, having said that, I have a new addition to my personal sewing room, and it is my beautiful flats. So this is a special gift that I want to show you. This is from what happened during Spiffy. Is there was, if you don't know, there's a shoe designer called Christian Louboutin. And the signature of Christian Louboutin, red soles. Those red soles will cost you probably $600 on up, depending on what kind of shoe you buy. And so there was a pair of Christian Louboutins that I really, really liked. They had tape measures all over them. You can go to Christian Louboutin's site and look at them. They have tape measures all over them. They're adorable tape measure bows, just like this. So what the Spiffy ladies did is they went, and I was complaining I couldn't get the shoes. So the Spiffy ladies went to Walmart. Not sure how much they paid, but these thongs are very comfortable. These flats are. Took tape measures, tied them all over, as you can see. And then a little bit of red cardboard on the soles. There you have it. A little creativity, a little bit of time. Christian Louboutin sandals. So those are the most exciting addition I have, and they're going to be kept there. All right, so to all you Spiffies, wonderful time. Thank you. Some are still traveling back home, but it was just incredible. They are kind of helping you tonight, because really what I wanted to know is what's different. Why do you get it more when you're in person? And of course, it's information kind of condensed down, and I'm going to do that for you tonight. It's also, they said, in the doing. They need to do it. I cannot say that enough. You need to do it. Over the weekend we had some video specials. We had half price on some videos. I'm going to keep those through till tomorrow night, because they were achieving great fit through muslins, fitting yourself by yourself, tissue issues, all of those things that you really need to know, they're half off. Tips 1, tips 2, and there was one more, and I don't remember. Pocket principles. Anyway, you'll see them in the email tomorrow when we send it out. Half off, just through tomorrow. Get those, watch them. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. I talked to a girl earlier this week. She said, I'm just afraid. Stop. Just do it. Just do it. Okay? That good old expression, just do it. I cannot say enough how much it applies and how much you will learn. There was sometimes somebody would ask me a question. I said, I'm not going to answer because you already know the answer. Just go do it and then come back and tell me what you learned. They did. They did exactly that. They went and did it. And they said, I know the answer. I figured it out. Sometimes we try to theorize all the way through, which is a good quality in some cases, but in other cases it shuts us down because we can't theorize it, and so therefore we don't do it. So just do it. Will you do that for me? We have some patterns. There's like 9 patterns left, or maybe 8 patterns, I don't know how many, that have been reduced because we're going to discontinue them. If you're not familiar with silhouette patterns and you're trying to figure out one, get one of those patterns and do it. Okay, so tonight, complete fitting solutions, what I've done is I've gone through and found pictures of wrinkles, pictures of wrinkles, and then I'm going to tell you the fitting solution. There are 20 principles that we're going to talk about tonight. Very easy to do. You guys Just erase everything you know, and let's just talk here. 20 things. 20 things, that's all that can possibly go wrong. Some of you will not need any of them. Some of you, nobody will need all of them, because some are opposites of each other. So if you're ready, we're going to get started. And feel free to ask questions regarding the topic I'm on. And like I said, I really want to knock this out of the park. All right? And then what we'll do is next time we'll have the POM, which is 1350. Part of the reason we delayed it is because our POM, which typically goes out on the 10th, which would have been Friday, we had a large purchaser, very large purchaser, and so we ran short on patterns, and we've reordered them, and they'll be here tomorrow. So we'll actually ship. We didn't want to have it on the POM when we didn't have the POM in your hands. So the POM will go out Tuesday or Wednesday, and then the next one will be on that POM, and I'm excited because I was there. I was ready. All right? Okay, so we appreciate your patience. We're going to start with LCD. LCD, I've said it many times. You all are definitely learning it. You're understanding it. You're applying it. We're just going to go through the concepts and kind of do it again. So we're going to bring up picture number 1, and we're going to talk about length. We're going to talk about why this is wrong. Now, I went to some celebrity sites, and this was easy because there's so many pictures of them. It's easy to catch them wrong. I certainly don't ever want to attack Anne Hathaway or anything she did. Just the dress is bad. It got worse dress. I'm sure she's hates it as much as everybody else, and once it's in photos, it's there forever. But anyway, this dress, and if you Google Anne Hathaway pink dress, you can see many more versions of it. But if you look at this dart is above her bust point. And that theoretically is not incorrect, because what we know about a bust dart is there's a bust circle, and the bust dart can go anywhere in that bust circle. That bust dart, in theory, is inside the bust circle. And so what we do have is there's two parts of things. There's the rules, and then there's the what looks best. You can follow the rules and still not look the best, which is exactly why I pulled this picture up. You can see that it follows the rules. It is a fitting dart, and a fitting dart must go into the bust circle. It cannot go through the bust point. This doesn't do any of that. But it's so high and the fabric is so rigid that it just isn't a good look. So in this case, the dart, if it were lower, even like an inch lower, it would come up under the bulge of her bust, and it wouldn't even be visual. The goal of a fitting dart is to not be visual. And so this being too high becomes visual, and that's what makes it a negative. Again, not a wrong, actually not even wrong in the principles of fit, but it becomes a design. It's just called bad design. So to fix for this is to take a cut. It's a length issue. And what we know with length is it's the same all the way across. So you could go all the way across, add the inch, drop the whole dart down. Don't try to play with the dart. Don't try to move the dart end down. Just literally make a cut above it and move it down. Tank top, same thing. Make a cut above the darts below the armhole. And you can see there's a space there that she could easily have done that to, and drop the whole thing down and then start again. All right, so that's number 1. The length of the back is not something that we can see on most garments, most pictures that we find. I found a lot of sloppy backs, but just know, and I know you know, that when there's a back issue, there's just puddles, lots of wrinkles and lots of fabric that just sits there. And if we take that away, the same amount all the way across, we take care of that. So length of back, length of waist. I want to show you picture number 2. And in this particular case, we're going to see a shoulder angle. Now, the reason that's a shoulder angle is, number 1, it's not in the drawing of that picture, but it is on her, for maybe just because the way she's positioned. It doesn't even matter why, but you see it's just a little fold right in the curve of the armhole. Now, she actually has a little bust issue too, but we'll kind of talk about that separately. And I don't know about you, but I could almost just reach into that picture and pick up that shoulder seam, and that extra fabric would be gone. So how we know this is a depth issue is, remember, depth is an uneven fix. And so, and if it's horizontal, then the darts are going to be the shoulder dart or the bust dart. And if it's vertical, then it's going to pertain to circumference. I'm sorry, horizontal pertains to length and vertical pertains to circumference. So we have L, C, and then D. And D pertains to length when it's horizontal, and it pertains to circumference when it's vertical. So this would be like a length dart. And so if you just pick up the shoulder seam and just kind of take fabric away at the shoulder seam, taper to nothing in the neckline, you will have that fix. And I kind of wanted to illustrate that with this little jacket here, and I left this on, and I'm going to take off the sleeve. I kind of left it off so I wanted to show you a couple things about this tonight. So this happens sometimes when, and even in Spiffy when we were doing it over and over and over, and you think, gosh, remember, but it's kind of retraining of ourselves. And sometimes when we're learning something new, it just takes time to do over and over. If in a jacket like this where there's a shoulder pad, and if I take that shoulder pad out and this jacket relaxes, you can see it mimics that same issue. There's my extra fabric, and that's exactly where it is in the yellow dress there. It just sits right there at the curve of the armhole. And what takes away that extra is a pinch up here at the shoulder. If we were not using a shoulder pad, or if we were using a smaller shoulder pad than what was being suggested in the pattern, or any of those things. In this case in particular, the model, again, has a more square shoulder than what Miss Roberts has, and so therefore that extra fabric can't hang up in the air. It just simply falls below. And so all we have to do is pinch up the shoulder seam, take it to nothing at the base of the neck, and then we redraw the armhole. And we just redraw the same armhole because there was nothing wrong with the armhole. There's nothing wrong with the sleeve. We don't want to change either one of those. We're simply going to start where the new shoulder seam is, and we're going to draw the same size armhole. The whole thing will just shift down. Okay, perfect. All right, so any questions on that? Do we have any questions, or are we doing okay? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's go to, no picture just yet. I want to talk about just that topic, what I was saying about armhole and sleeve. When we lower the armhole, that is where our armhole template will come in. And we've talked about these templates over and over. I've shown how to make them. You have videos on how to do them. We're just really excited, and we want you to get them made. You'll have 4 armholes. What would be the sleeveless armhole, and then a knit, and then a woven like a blouse, and then a jacket. So those are going to be your 4 armholes. If you have a front and back template for each, just carry them with you at all times. Never leave home without them, and you're going to be in great shape. All right. I do want to mention that about that is that on our website, if you're on the computer, maybe open another window and go to silhouettepatterns.com. And then go over to features. There's tabs along the top. Go to features, which is the last one to the right. Click on that. Go to the middle chart, and it's on finding your measurements. It's finding your measurements, I think is what it's called. If you'll click on that, it'll open up a little spreadsheet, a little chart like this. It's an Excel spreadsheet. And so what you're going to see with that is things you should know. I'm surprised at how many times I say this, and then when I say it to spiffies or to somebody in a workshop, do you all know about this? No, I don't know about this. So I can't say it enough. This is a chart that will help you understand what you like. This is style. I can give you fit, but fit and style is what is called you. It's called your wardrobe. And style is the whole reason why scanning cannot work. Body scanning, none of that can work, because no one but you can understand how much ease you like in your clothing. Ease is your body plus some extra equals this chart. So that's what this chart is. So if I have a jacket, here, if I have a top, I should take and pull this out and measure right there under the bust. so that I know how many inches this is and how many inches I like. And once I know that, I'm ready to find a pattern. I'm ready to understand what it is I need to prepare myself to know what size I need. I have lots and lots of questions on sizing. I can never help you pick your size. I just can't do it. I don't care how much information you give me. You can do this. You can pick your own size. Women say to me, I don't have anything I like. You have something. You have something you don't like. Measure that. Do something to get a starting place, because every little bit of work you do gets you closer and closer and closer to having that correct size. And even if you pick the wrong size, you're better off to do it, make it up, and say, you know, I really like this, but it's just a little bit too big. I'm going to go down a little bit. And that's the process. And know that it's a process and that it will take a little bit of time. But every time you make something and every time you do something, you're just going to get better and better. And it's so exciting. It really is so exciting to just get better and better. I see it. I see you in classes. I see you going places. And I see the improvement, and it's incredible. It's really, really a lot of fun to watch. Okay, so understand, know about this chart, know of its importance, and understand what you like in terms of how many inches at the hem, how many inches at your knee, how much fullness at the leg. What size armholes do you like? What size necklines do you like? All of those things. And you can just print as many charts as you need, because you can label it. My favorite pants, my best blouse, etc., etc. When women say to me, I'll always say, measure a blouse you like. They say, I don't have a blouse I like. You have something that you wear. And I think I say it enough that I say, go shopping and shop for something. Just make sure it goes around you, and then measure it and start in our patterns with that number. At least that gives you a starting place. But only you can tell you where to start. No one else can kind of give you that information. Okay, so the template, the armhole templates, understanding what you like, knowing your 4 armhole sizes that you like. You know, I know this is nothing I've said before. This is everything I've said before. Nothing new is what I mean. So I'm just wanting to remind you with an extra little push to do it. Okay? All right, so then we're going to do sleeve changes. Now, with this armhole and this template idea, you recognize that we were kidding. Elizabeth was at SPIFFY, and she was kidding that she said she was a, I can't remember, but I think she's a 5'6'3". So what that meant is she's 5, you know, like James Bond 007. She's Elizabeth 5'6'3". Not maybe as classy as 007, but it sounds good. So she's a 5 at the top. She went to a 6 at the bottom, and then she had a 3 sleeve. So she took her armhole, her 3 armhole, put it on her 5 top. She was out the door. There she went. And that is a good reference point for anything else she's going to make, knowing that she's that. It doesn't mean they'll all be exactly the same, but it's a good reference point. Okay, sleeve dart at the elbow. I'm going to show you picture number 6A. And this particular picture is really good because oftentimes I want you to notice on this, the sleeve that you can see, I believe that's her right arm, and you can see those twists goes all the way up. Those wrinkles, if you notice, go all the way up into just about the base of the armhole. And if you notice where they start at the elbow. So I'm going to put this sleeve back on my little person, and the reason I kept it off is so that I could show you a couple things about this. And my sleeve is straighter. No, this isn't my arm, but anyway, my sleeve is straighter than this arm. So if it were longer, it would twist and do that same twist. What that twist means is that her arm is more bent than the sleeve. And what fixes that is a little dart. That little dart is right in the front armhole. I'm sorry, right in the front of the sleeve. Remember, this is only a 2-piece sleeve that you can fix this with. And so that, if you notice, bends that sleeve more. The very front of the sleeve is where the change takes place, and the front seam tapers to nothing in the back seam. The front sleeve of the undersleeve tapers to nothing in the back seam. So you've got two pieces, the upper sleeve and the undersleeve, both of them in the front get taken up just a little bit. It's like 1/4 of an inch. It's very small, but it changes the angle of the bottom of the sleeve so that that whole sleeve can hang crooked. It's actually hanging as crooked as your arm is, and hanging crooked on a crooked equals straight. It's perfect. Okay, so that 6A is a great example as to what it looks like when it needs to be fixed. And when you see that, go in and put a dart right above the elbow. Just pinch up the very front. Do it right above the elbow. Don't do it at the elbow. Do it a little bit above the elbow, so you give the chance for the sleeve to change directions and then come down, and it works like a charm. If you could just figure out how to wear your jackets, you know, with a seam there, I don't think that will be happen. It's supposed to happen only in the pattern, not in the final product, just so I want to make sure everybody understands that. Okay, let's look at picture number 3. And this particular picture, Miss Walters, I want you to notice right there above her bust and right around her bust, those little horizontal, well, they're little darts. They're little darts. The fabric is actually folding itself in darts because the blouse side is too long for her body. There's more fabric at the side of that blouse than there is on her body. Her body's not taking it up, and that's what darts do. That's what horizontal darts do. They're called bust darts. So this is a princess seam. She could have taken a dart in the side seam and taken it away to nothing, and that would have fixed it. Now she can't in a finished blouse, and that's the beauty of making the muslins, is so that I can take those darts away at the side seam, taper them to nothing at the princess seam. And because they start on one seam and end on one seam, they don't have to be in the finished garment. And that's a wonderful thing about a princess seam. So I make up a muslin, I tweak out that dart, and that bust dart right there is very popular if the princess seam exactly not right, if it's not exactly right on. And then when I close up that side seam, I have to take it to the back princess seam as well, so that the side seams will still match. And again, it just works perfect. All right, so that takes care of armhole gaps. We see them a lot. I also want to look at picture number 4, and we'll see them in this also. Now this one's a little bit differently. Why I wanted you to look at this one is because look at the diagonal wrinkle below the bust. And that, you know, like let's just say for instance there was a French dart here. You can see that that dart on that garment does not match her body. It's either not there, or whatever is there is not large enough. So I don't know, I just want to reach into that picture and just kind of pinch that up just a little bit, just so that it hangs straight and that angular wrinkle goes away and everything looks like I want it to. All right, so recognize that the side of the body is shorter than the front, and that's what bust darts do. They do not increase circumference. They do not change circumference. They simply take away length on the side of the body and leave it the same on the center of the body. Now, boy, I've said this so many times, many times, and I know y'all are busy and your lives are busy and you don't have a lot of time to hear and you don't have a lot of space in your head to learn. So I'm going to say it again. If you go back to, on the front of our YouTube channel, we have the pillowcases where I'm draping the pillowcases, and I took out that bust dart on the pillowcase, and you notice it didn't change circumference. Even today I got an email and it said, you know, I want to do, why isn't a size 4D and a size 4B, why aren't they measuring the same? Why aren't they measuring different? Well, because they're a size 4 and all the 4s have the same circumference. D just means that that dart at the side is larger than it is a B, so that means the difference between the center and the side is greater, not the circumference. So depth is not circumference, circumference is not depth. And if you go back and just kind of keep that in your mind, you'll hear that over and over, okay? With Elizabeth, who's a 5'6", what do you recommend we make up? So we also have our own reference point. What do you recommend we make up? Well, make up a muslin. Just whatever, I mean, she made up a knit muslin, she made up a woven muslin, she used 195 as a base, she used 600 as a base. Those are your bases, and then you can compare them again. Once you have yourself flat, you can compare it to other patterns, and you can compare That's what I did in tissue issues. That's a great layout of tissue issues, is how to take the tissue changes to the tissue and then compare them to other muslins. Okay, can you show the dart on a 2-piece sleeve pattern? Yeah, I can draw it. Can we draw it? Give Benjamin, yeah, give us just a second and we'll pull up it, and I can draw that. I'm a bad drawer, but I think I can draw that. Okay. All right, that's a picture we're coming to in a little bit. I don't know, can you give me something flat, or should I draw on the side of that? Okay, we're just going to draw on the side of this is what I'm going to do. And I go here to draw on, Benjamin? Here? Here. Okay. So I'm going to draw two things. I'm going to draw first just give us just 1 second. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw the upper sleeve. And that's always symbolized by a higher cap. And then it goes like this. Let's erase that. I'm drawing at an angle and I need to draw straight. I'll do better for you. Yeah, can you take that back? Okay. So all right. I can't do this, you guys. You're just a second. Take that away, please. All right, I'm going to get this. All right. So the upper sleeve is like this, and then it has this sleeve portion. You'll get it. Let me just do it and then not worry about what it looks like, and you'll get it. Okay, then there's an undersleeve, and the undersleeve looks like this. You'd never know I was a pattern maker. Can you erase those last two, please? Oh my. Okay, perfect. I'm going to come back in. Okay, so the way I drew them, just so you know, it is this side right here and this side right here gets sewn together. We're going to say those are both the front of the sleeve. So this is where the dart is taken. And it's taken over to the other seam, and it's taken to nothing. And then on the undersleeve, it's taken to nothing on the other side. So both of these right here are taken in the same. You can see they shorten it, and because they shorten it, they bring the sleeve forward, and the pattern lays flat because there is such a thing as the 2-piece sleeve. There's 2 seams, and that other seam is where they're flat. That was a gross drawing, but I still really think that that's pretty clear. All right, so we'll do away with that one. All right. Are we okay with that? Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so then I want to look at also picture number 4. Oh, I think we had that. Yeah, we had that. Okay, yep, we had that. That's with the darts. I just didn't cross it off so that I didn't know where I was on my list. Okay, then I want to talk about neckline darts. There are times when, and I don't have a picture of it obviously because people wouldn't wear it, people wouldn't buy it. But in the sheath dress is a good example, where the garment comes all the way up to our neckline and there's a little ridging, a little gapping, extra fabric, just kind of right around the base of the curve. The solution is to pinch it out, and it's usually a princess seam, because without a princess seam, I don't know why you don't have it, but it's usually a princess seam. At least on our patterns, the only time I see it is on a princess seam. But you're going to pinch up both sides of center front, you're going to take it to nothing at the princess seam, and that's it. And the reason I mention this is because somebody in one of our classes had to change this, so I wanted to put it out there so that you guys knew it was there. You don't see it often, but just because of the angle of our chest from bust to neckline is different on everybody, sometimes those darts have to be taken. When you put the dart in the sleeve, oh sorry, do you have to add length back at the bottom? That's a great question, but I want you to think about it. All of these things that I'm going to answer, and I've noticed this for probably the last year. People always say to me, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this case is the same way. The question is, when you take the dart out, Do you add length at the bottom? No, because the whole reason there's a problem is that the fabric hangs up at the elbow. It doesn't go to the bottom. If it went to the bottom, there wouldn't be any wrinkles. But the fact of the matter is it doesn't. So when you take that dart, you're actually making it the right length. It was too long before. So don't add anything back in. Once you take it away, leave it, and you're going to be good to go. Okay? Okay. We're still okay there? Sway back is another great example of what something that I can't show you, but you want to put it into the garment, because with sway backs, many women have them, and yet you're not going to really see them. I looked all over for all kinds of sway backs, and I just could not find one. In our upcoming online fitting class, you guys, if you can handle $100, get into that class. We've done a lot of filming on what women are doing. I'm going to show you how to do this to yourself. We're literally going to show you in film how to do it step by step, and I think it's really helpful to see it, but I don't have any photos of it. It's all video. And what it is when you have, it's similar to a length adjustment when I said it puddles in the back, but it doesn't puddle on the side for sway back. So sway back is the dart, and if it puddles all the way around, that would be a length. That's how you can tell the difference. You don't want to fix a sway back or a length, either one, at the curve of the back. You want to fix it above. So recognize, just like the elbow, don't fix it at the elbow, go a little bit above, like an inch above, and that way it'll be fixed and change directions once it gets to the sway back. You're going to do it in the garment because the dart is at center back and then tapers to nothing to the side. And I think many of you understand that sway back, you know how to do it, and that's the good news. Rounded back, we have quite a few rounded back issues. They are either, it doesn't even matter what they're from. It doesn't make a difference. I always say it's pattern versus body. It doesn't matter, I think a lot of women will say, oh, do I have a round back? No, it's pattern versus body. I was in a fitting class. We were in Colorado Fabrics, and there was a girl there that did really a lot of Victorian, and I don't have Victorian patterns, and she had emailed me and asked me if she could bring in a Victorian pattern to class, and I said yes. And in putting on that pattern on her, there was like zero depth in the back. It was so straight that it was pulling the front way to the back. And so I added depth, I added darts, and everything stayed where it was, and kind of overhauled the pattern, and she was thrilled. But back of a pattern has to have darting built into it, and if it doesn't, it will pull, or if it doesn't have enough, it will pull back. You guys know when you wear clothing, if what you're wearing is pulling back, it's really uncomfortable. So it's not even about looking better, it's about feeling better. And so what you want to do is under the back, about halfway between there and the blades is usually where you cut, and you just cut right through the back. It's right in through here, and open it up. The collar will pull down, and I'm going to show you a rear end that does this, and with the rear end it's the same thing, but it's at the back. So all of these all of these convex bumps on our body need to have the right length, and it's shorter at the side of our bodies, and so that's why darting is put in here. So when you slash and spread, you'll slash and spread that roughly about a ½ inch to an inch. It won't be much more than that, but it will go from right around here. It's usually halfway between the collar and the blades. It'll go right through here from seam to seam. You can't stop at a princess seam. Even if there's a princess seam, it's got to go all the way to the edge of the pattern. Cut it across, add fabric, and then close it back up. Okay? That's the rounded back. All right. When you take a dart in the neck to nothing, when you take a dart in at neck to nothing at the bottom to bring the shoulders slightly, do you have to take the same in at back? You don't have to. No, you don't have to. It doesn't make sense that you take it in the front and not in the back to me, but I've seen some cases. But generally when I'm taking it in the front, I'm narrowing the shoulders in the front. Why wouldn't I need to narrow those shoulders in the back also? So that's just a question I would throw back to you. Either way that it works is fine. Pattern 175, how do you do the twisted collar? That's not a question I'm going to be able to answer right here, so I'm going to kind of just push that to the side. What about excess fat at the back of the neck and the blouse keeps pulling back and feelings like choking? So again, excess fat, I mean, you guys don't look for a cause. Blame it on the pattern maker. I keep telling everybody it's my fault. I'm the pattern maker in this particular case. If you're using a silhouette pattern, blame it on me. I don't have enough depth in the back for your body. That's my fault. So again, don't worry about why it is. Excess fat, that kind of beats yourself up a little bit. Just simply know that the slash is here. It will allow the shoulders to relax where they should be. It'll allow the collar to go up rather than, to into the body rather than up to the sky. Because if I pull this down, what you see is that collar starts to shoot up rather than be in where it should be. And sometimes the bottom of the jacket will pull up as well. So those are 3 telltale signs that the back needs to be slashed. And it feels uncomfortable. Forget that it looks bad, it just feels bad. So all of those things mean that you need a slash. Put fabric in. Again, it's not in the final garment, it's in the muslin. And then you can compare that against everything else. Okay? Okay, if you need more between the shoulders and the sway back, if you need more between shoulders and sway back, do you fix one of those first? No, it doesn't matter. Whenever you're dealing with depth, I always start at the top and go to the bottom. So I would do a slash at the shoulders before a sway back. That's just me. There's not a right order for you to do it in. No. Okay. Where can I find the info for the twisted collar? In the pattern. Pattern 175 has a guide sheet, and that would be in the pattern. Okay. Okay. I want to talk about concave darts and convex darts. So a dart we know has a point and then generally 2 places that it's taking in, that those two places are coming together. But in many cases, there's the distance between where the points are coming together and the tip of the dart. And that can be concave, and it's beautiful if it is concave, or convex, one of those two. Concave, for example, with a French dart, concave would allow us to take a little more in, and because that French dart is right under the bust, if we make it concave, it has a tendency to clean up a little bit of kind of junk that's left there. So if you're doing a French dart just for fun sometime, I know many of you have done them in our patterns, just kind of do that little concave, just taking it up a little bit, and you'll see where it snugs the body in a positive way just a little bit. And we did that on a couple in a class, and I've done it many times, and she was like just amazed at how good it looked. So I wanted you to know about that because I've done it on many people. I just never really realized that maybe you all didn't know that. So put your French dart in, pin it up, not at the tip, don't change the tip, and don't change the amount that's taken up at the side. But in between that amount, take that up, and it really looks nice. Okay, how do I fix creases on high and low bustling due to mastectomy? How do I fix creases on a high and low bust line due to mastectomy? Specialty bras not correcting it. Okay, so I'm not sure what creases are, but let's just say mastectomy in general. Guys, or asymmetrical, if we can even just talk asymmetrical. The beautiful thing about clothing, and what we need to remember here, is that our bodies come together. There's a center to our body, and the right and the left don't have to match one another. I can make one side like it is and the other side like it is. No one ever said the sides have to be identical. It just means that you've got to notice the differences, drape those differences. There might be one dart larger on the other side than another. There might be a shoulder angle. There might be a back, a bulging back that's different on one side and not on another. It just means that I can't cut the pattern on a fold. I'm just going to have a right and a left, and that's just not a big deal. I always say just cut the larger side and then maybe trim it down to be the smaller side, but just drape yourself as you are. Your clothes will look better if you drape the differences rather than trying to pretend that they're the same, because just like this question, this lady's got wrinkles on different sides, her causing from a mastectomy, but there's so many health issues that we deal with, or birth things or whatever, that if our clothes look different on both sides, just like we are, we will present ourselves to look better. And also people are less likely to even notice. So that would be my suggestion. Okay, pay attention to asymmetry and kind of embrace it. Don't try to hide it. It's not a big deal. Okay, let's look at grading here for a minute, and that's picture number 12. And I'm going to just kind of point out to some things here. I want you to look at those red lines. There's some red lines there, and they're at the, let's make that picture a little bit bigger if you don't mind. The red lines are at the, is that harder, easier said than done? Oh, okay. Yeah, I want you to notice when the neckline, the base of the shoulder crosses, the base of the neck, I'm sorry. When the base of the neck crosses, there's a red line there. At the shoulder angle, notice there's a red line there. Under the armhole, at the base of the armhole, there's a red line there. Notice at the waistline side seam, there's a red line there. Those are red lines. Now, if you take any silhouette pattern, and this is what's called stacking. And when you stack a pattern, there's different ways, obviously different, you know, I'm the pattern designer, so I get to choose how I want it stacked. And we always stack with center fronts together. Now it's really easy with center fronts, and sometimes with other pieces it's a little more complex, and so it's a little harder for you to follow. But let's just use this as an example. It's a very easy example. And what we see is that the center front line is stacked, and then you can see all the sizes going out from there. At all of those points that I've mentioned, that red line, the red line is a straight angled line, and it's connecting the corners or the changes or where the line is going from one direction to another direction. Okay, so on any silhouette pattern that's stacked, you're going to take a straight line, a straight ruler, and you're going to connect those lines, and you're going to extend them beyond. And I'm just going to kind of point some of these out here. Let me just find out where my pen is. Oh, there we go. Okay, so like right here, for instance. See how that goes beyond the shoulder? So if you look at the difference between the largest size and the next largest size and go up exactly that much difference along that line, you'll come to the next size. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because for tops, there are some of you who need a size 5. Not a size 5W, but a size 5. And so you can leave the pattern right on the tissue and simply go up one more size by doing exactly this. Seeing the line, seeing the angle, drawing those lines where they cross at those points that I was talking about, and then looking at the difference. I'm going to go kind of down here just as an example. Right there, notice right there. So that line comes out. I look at the difference between the two sizes, and then I just start to draw the new size. Okay? So if you need to go up a size, look at the difference between the lower size, look at the difference between those two, and simply draw the distance the same, and keep on, it's called those access points. All right, so that's it. Very simple to do. I know I've talked about grading a little bit. In our 600 series, we've got some really good hands-on grading because we've got a girl who's been doing grading for 30 years, and she's on the show and just shows some really good information. And that series 600, just an FYI, will start to release in January, the 1st of January, and so the exciting thing is we'll get to mail out the videos and patterns, and we're very, very excited about that. So coming up in January. Okay, so that's grading there. Okay. All right, thanks, Benjamin. Okay, so those 13 things that I went over just now are all the top changes that we had in silhouette patterns. Now that's not to say there might not be other changes, but in silhouette patterns we took 12 people with 6 muslins each. That's 70 something, almost 100 muslins. It was even more because I included SPIFFY, and these were the only changes that we made on all of those women. Every size imaginable, short, tall, large, all the way from 28 to size 4, you know, all of those sizes. So those things on tops were all that was done. There's 7 things left that were on bottoms that I want to address. Same 7 things, very, very easy. In fact, really there's only 4 things, but I'm kind of giving you 7 just so you feel a little bit better, okay? And hopefully you'll understand that this is just way easy. Okay, so let's start. Any questions on tops? When would you use convex dart? All the time. That's why I'm mentioning it to you, because the convex dart is so flattering. The goal in a t-shirt is to come in under the bust. Under the bust on all of us as women, there's a hollow. And that hollow is a good thing to show off because it distinguishes a bust from a heavy body. And we have a large bust, but we're not necessarily heavy. And so that concave dart will really help us. If you've never used it and if you've done a French dart, I'm suggesting that you try it, because I know it and sometimes I just forget to tell you all about it. And when I do it in a workshop and they're going like, wow, that's amazing. Why didn't I ever know that? Why didn't you ever show that? I'm like, I don't know. I just figured you all knew it. So that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention. That's why we made our list in the class, and that's why I want to tell you all about it. Okay? Okay, you're going to show and tell us about the top you're wearing. No, because I did this. This is a couple webcasts ago. I'm just wearing it. It's pattern of the month, Vince's top, 4013. So if you just go back to the pattern of the month, 4013 Vince's top, you'll have it. You'll have all the information. And then what about the capsule wardrobe? We did a whole PBS series. That's series 700 on the capsule wardrobe. And so we did do Laura's, you know, the grade 8. That really is a capsule wardrobe. We just took it to another level and did the capsule wardrobe on series 700 in Fit to Stitch. And it's an amazing series. I'm very, very proud of it. And there's a lot of information in that one. That'll come out in April of 2019. If you want to build a capsule wardrobe, which of your patterns would you use to start? I have tonight's jacket, 175, Nikki's favorite classic flats. What should I add? Well, if you'll go to the middle of our website on the front page, and there's called a Welcome Starter Pack, okay? And on the front page, the Welcome Starter Pack, if you'll just click on it and look, you'll see what we would recommend as our base 7 patterns. That's, you know, our base 7. Okay, you could add a swing dress, which is 4,000. You can add a few. Also, if you'll go back to when we did the grade 8, I would look at the patterns we used for that also. When Laura was doing that, she did an amazing job, and she's really using that base still, and that's good news. Okay, can you grade 2 different sizes on one pattern so your bust is larger than the shoulders? Well, when you grade, you should grade consistently, but that doesn't mean you can't do what Elizabeth did, and she went from the 5 to the 6 to the 3. So she went 5 to the shoulders, she went 6 to the bust because she has a larger bust, and 6 to the hips. So then she used her armhole template that was a 3 and took the 3 armhole and went from the 5 to the 6 and just drew on a 3 armhole. You guys, this is so easy that don't make it hard. And that's why I say do it, because you'll see in the doing, you're like, oh my gosh, this is incredibly easy. It is. Would you tell us a little bit about your top, what pattern it's based on? So I just answered that a little ago. Let me just say it again. If you go back to Vince's, this is Vince's dress. This is the pattern of the month, 4013 for July. And it has all the information. It was like one of the ones on a mannequin, and I'm just wearing it tonight because I love it. I love it. I love the fringe. I love everything about it. On the grading, how much larger can you go? You can go as large as you want. So let me just explain that. Let's say you're at the largest size and you need to go up 6 sizes. You go down 6 sizes, come up with a difference between the two, and then go up 6 sizes. So I guess we don't have 6 sizes, but let's just say, well, we do in pants. But let's just say on a top, on the tank top, there's 4 sizes. So if you were the largest one, and it's the 5, 6, 7, 8, you'd look at the difference between the 5 and the 8, and then you'd go up that much. But you have to have those red lines, the axis lines, so that you know where the shoulder seam goes. But just look at the difference between the 5 and the 8 and go up that much more. Very easy to do. okay? If you're a size 5 at the shoulders and 8 at the hip, I have trouble with the darting. Never know which dart to use. Well, you should have something between the shoulders and the hip, and it's called the bust, and the bust is how you should be choosing the size. So once you choose your size, that's the dart you use. It has nothing to do with the shoulders. It has nothing to do with the hips. It has everything to do with what's in the middle. Okay, it doesn't mean you can't go from 5 to 8, but there's a number in the middle that you're missing that you need. Use that number and use the dart that goes with that number. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's move to bottoms because I want to cover those, and we've only got a few minutes left. I want to look at picture number 6B, if you will. And I want to look at this, and so really what I'm trying to get you guys to do tonight is to read the wrinkles, read the cloth. Tell us what the cloth is telling us in this case, and if you look at those pants, and if you can see, I think you can see this, and you can Google Kim Kardashian's rear end if you can't and see it on your own monitor. But basically it's pulling down between the waist, at the waist, between the side seam and the center back seam. And it's, poor pant is like really suffering, that poor cloth. It just needs more length. So it needs length at the center, but it's fine at the side. So that's why you have the hip line dart. You can slash, you can take away, you can do either one of those. In this case, I wanted to show you, you need to slash. In other cases, when you have the extra hanging down below your rear end, that's when you need to take a dart. The reason I wanted to show you this first is because many of you are not understanding that the number one thing you should do to pants is look at the hip line and either take a dart, make a slash, or do nothing and decide that it's okay. But that's the first thing you should change. The back, dart, hip line. I want to look at picture number 7 and see in picture number 7 how it's a little better picture where you can see that the darts, that the waist is just being pulled down at center back. And so what I would do in this case is not add at the waist. Many of you have tried to do that. It does not work. You want to slash at the hip line, put the waist up where it should be, and then fill in with a piece of fabric. It's the same as this back slash in the back. It's, you need more depth. You need more than what the pant offers. And so it can't go up because the crotch is there. So it pulls down from those side seams at the waist to the center back waist. Okay, that's number 1. The second thing you'll always do, I'm going to go back to picture 6B for a minute, is there's tons of wrinkles below her rear end. So you think, why is that? How can this possibly be? And it's because the inseam, there needs to be a dart at the inseam. Always dart at the hip line first, dart at the inseam second. It's a dart. It's a dart. It's a dart. It's not a tuck. It's a dart. It's a dart. It's a dart. Okay? So that means it's wider at the inseam, nothing at the outseam. Front has to be done also so that the inseam will match. Dart at the inseam, taper nothing to the outseam, front and back. Okay? All right. Then I want you to look at picture number 13. All right. In this picture, I want you to see that if I have little bitty legs, I shouldn't be choosing my pant by my hip size. I know we say to do it, but what's happening is the legs are so little that it takes too much work to get the pants where I want them to go. So in this particular case, I'm going to show I'm showing a grade of a pattern, okay? And this is just the front, but it doesn't matter, front or back. Do the same thing. You're going to pick the pant out actually by, I always have oh, there it is, by the leg. So in this particular case, I never can find my pin. There it is. Oh, okay. I'm going to pick the smallest size right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my French curve on that shape. So see the very smallest line there? I'm just hypothetically saying this very smallest leg is the size I want, and you would know that by knowing your leg circumferences, and that you would know that from coming back to your chart and measuring pants you wear and measuring enough of them to where you say, oh, it doesn't matter what my leg measures. What I like my pants to be is X. So then I know that, and I start my size, and I start my size in the smallest size. Oops, there we go. Sorry, can you erase that? Just trying to find out where I am. And you're going to go from this very inside line and you're going to just pivot out the French curve. And what it's going to do is just pivot out to the size you need for the hip line. And it's going to look it's going to look as radical as your body is. So don't think anything's too radical. Start with the size that works for the leg. Take the French curve. All right, you're going to take the French curve, you're going to lay it on your pattern, and you're just going to pivot this portion out to the size you need for your tummy, and you will be amazed how easy it is. And that is a great example of where you just need to do it. And it's a big reason why we put so many sizes in one envelope. In fact, all of our sizes are in one envelope, because I often get this email, I don't know what size to order, and I'm afraid I won't get the right size. We are not like other pattern companies. We put all the sizes in one pattern because we're clearly aware that you could need one size for the leg and one size for the hip, or vice versa. So this is a very simple thing to do. You do it to the front, you do it to the back, and then go for it. Okay, perfect. All right. The circumference of legs, if you would please measure your pants. You'll find different pants will measure differently. You'll have a yoga pair of pants. You'll have a stretch woven pair of pants, and you'll have like a regular woven pair of pants. So woven, stretch woven, and knit. Those are three different products, and you'll have three different measurements from different legs and different pants. So your knit obviously is going to be the tightest, and the stretch woven will be next, and then woven will be the largest because it has to have ease built into the pattern because you have no movement of the fabric. Okay, so many of you are doing this incorrectly. You're thinking that I can just have one pattern and just, you know, it doesn't matter the fabric. You're not paying enough attention to the fabric, and that kind of makes me nervous because it's like kind of having one top and making a blouse and a jacket and a t-shirt, and those are completely three different circumferences, and we need to appreciate that they are. And so I'm giving you a heads up with pants. Different circumferences, just because they go on the lower half of our body, they need different considerations. Okay? All right. Lowering the waist, that's completely a style option. It's totally up to you. You can put it wherever you want it to be. I want to show you picture number 8. And in this particular pattern or pant, that is not a pleasant look. And, you know, for as much money as Kim Kardashian has, these pants I don't care what her body looks like, it would look 50 times better if her pants fit well. I have fit so many women in my lifetime, and when I fit them, every time I fit them, my gosh, they absolutely look amazing. Fitted pants are the #1 thing you can do for yourself to make yourself look thinner, taller, wonderful. Don't get into a pair of pants that's too small. There's nothing wonderful about it. You look larger, it doesn't look good. So that particular pant right there, it needs a dart. It goes from center front to the side seam. The dart is just above the curve of the crotch, right above there, and it's a horizontal dart. Tapers there to the side seam. So the first dart is at the hip line. The second dart is at the top of the crotch, and turn it around, and if you still have this little bagging there at the crotch, we call them smiles, whatever you want to call them, take those away. Okay, please show us where Kim's leg crotch dart should be. Benjamin, if you don't mind, let's go back to 7. Yeah, okay, so see how tight the rear end is? And give us just a second. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if you'll notice how tight the leg is, but there's still horizontal wrinkles. You can see there's too much length on the inseam of that pant, but you'll notice the wrinkles dissipate on the outseam of the pant. So we're going to pull that picture up, and what we do is we're going to make it to where we can draw on it, and that takes us a few little steps, and I wasn't prepared for that. So they're kind of doing that in the back seam. But the dart at the top of the inseam is, you know what, Benjamin, you could pull up. Okay, doesn't matter either way. Okay, so here we go. You know what, pull up the pattern. the pant. The graded, oh, I'm sorry, picture number 13. Picture number 13. Pull that up and erase, yep. And then if you'll erase my marking. Okay, so this is the front, and you'll do it in the front and the back, but here's where the crotch, here's where that dart's gonna go. So you see the, again, I gotta find my mark. Where's my mark? Okay, so right here at the top of the inseam, the dart is here, tapers to nothing at the side seam, dart is there, tapers to nothing. It is a dart. It's right at the top of the inseam, and the reason it has to be at the top of the inseam is if you look at that pant, you can see that the center back is off grain, or center front, I don't care which one you call it, the waistline is off grain, and the hip line is off grain. So by doing that at the top of the leg, it will take away those wrinkles and the leg will still stay on grain. And that's what's most important. Okay? All right. Very easy. Very good. And you guys, I've shown that so many times. It's in the Pants DVD, but I mean, it's all over the place. Go back to any of our Pant YouTubes and I've shown it lots of times. Okay. Hi from Oakland. I've made Vera skirt successfully as a knit without a button front 12 times. I've tried to use a stable woven fabric this week and the waist became very loose. Help. Well, that kind of is your red flag, you guys. If you've made it and it's lots of times and then you've made it in a woven, just means the quality of the woven fabric isn't stable. Somehow it's changing, it's moving. It has to be fabric, especially if you've made it many, many times and it works, and then all of a sudden you go to a woven and it doesn't. That would be a fabric switch. Can't be anything with the pattern. Has to be fabric. All right. I always get those wrinkles under my bum. Please tell us how to fix that. I did. Just hit rewind, hit it again, and you'll understand how to do it. But again, always do the hip line dart first. On the Kim's pant, Kim Kardashian, I couldn't get a dart out of the hip because it needed to be slashed and added. So that you can't have a dart line there when it's too short, and in her case it was too short. Always do the hip line first. Always do the hip line first. Always do the hip line first. Hello. Always do the hip line first. Okay. With the wrinkles under the rear end typically are not the crotch, the dart at the top of the inseam. They're the hip line, and they fall down below. It's like a cow neck is the best example I can get. There's too much fabric there, falls down below. Always do the dart first at the hip line. Then if there's others that you cannot clean up with that dart at the hip line, then you have permission to do that secondary dart. So the hip curve gets more steep. The hip curve gets more steep. I don't really understand what that's meaning, but that's okay. Okay, so we are at 9 o'clock, and we have done an excellent job of getting through complete fitting solutions, you guys. So like I said, watch for the email tomorrow. I'm going to leave those DVDs half off for another day to get to the end. I can't tell you how much they'll help you. I can tell you they'll help you tremendously. And watch the fabric from Spiffy's and everybody, you guys. Love you all. Good night. Happy sewing.